So, what does it really mean to be a leader? Today, we're diving into the incredible wisdom of Jim Rohn, who was just a giant in the world of personal development. We're going to break down his core ideas about leadership into a simple guide you can actually use. Let's get right into it. Jim Rohn would often kick things off with this unbelievable story about Abraham Lincoln. Just picture that for a second. A young boy right there at his mother's bedside, and her last words to him are this huge, profound challenge: be somebody. That's not just some old story, right? That's the real heart of leadership. It's a call to action that I think speaks to every single one of us. And that really gets to the core of how Rohn saw it. See, leadership isn't some title you get on a business card. It's a personal challenge that you decide to accept. It's you making a conscious choice to rise above average and to truly be somebody. It's all about grabbing that opportunity and that responsibility to build a life that's, extraordinary. All right, this is where it gets really, really interesting. Leadership is, well, it's a delicate dance. It's a constant balancing act. Rohn pointed out these super fine lines that leaders have to walk every single day if they want to be effective, without pushing away the very people they're trying to lead. Let's break them down. Okay, first up, the balance between being strong but not rude. This is such a classic mistake, isn't it? People confuse being aggressive or loud with being strong. But Rohn argued that real strength is about holding your ground, making the tough calls, but doing it with respect, not just by making a lot of noise. And on the flip side of that, you've got this: be kind, but not weak. Again, it's a huge misconception. Kindness is not a weakness. In fact, Rohn called it a certain unusual strength. Because sometimes being kind means you have to deliver a hard truth, what he called tough love. That takes real strength, to do what's best for someone even when it feels uncomfortable. Next, we have to walk the line between being humble but not timid. Now, Rohn saw humility as a virtue, knowing your place in the grand scheme of things. But timidity, he straight up called that an illness, something that just holds you back. The trick is to act with confidence, but stay grounded and always be open to learning from others. And the last balance here: be proud but not arrogant. Look, it's absolutely essential to be proud of your work, of your team. But Rohn always warned against letting that pride slide into arrogance, which he said was usually just a mask for insecurity. True pride is this quiet confidence, not loud bragging. Okay, so now that we've talked about the character traits, let's get into the mechanics of it all. Rohn taught that leadership, kind of like farming or nature, is governed by these unbreakable laws. And if you can understand them and work with them, you can create some absolutely incredible results. Now, this is a law we all think we know, but the way Rohn breaks it down is fascinating. First, pretty obvious, you have to do the work. You gotta sow if you want to reap. Second, the payoff is always bigger than the effort. You plant 1 cup of corn, you get a whole bushel back. But, and this is so important, here are the 2 crucial parts. Sometimes the hailstorm comes. You did everything right and you still lose it all. And that right there is the real test of a leader. Do you have the faith to go out and plant that field all over again next season? This next law is a total game changer, especially if you feel like you're just starting out. It's the law of averages. It basically says that if you do something often enough, a predictable ratio starts to show up. And once you really get this, Rohn says the world is yours for the taking. Let's make this super simple. Let's say you're new in sales. You go out and you talk to 10 people. 9 of them say no, but 1 person says yes. Okay, so your average is 1 out of 10. That might not sound amazing, but what you have now is a predictable number. You have a ratio you can work with. So here's how it plays out. There's you, the newcomer, getting 1 yes for every 10 tries. Then you've got the seasoned pro, who's been doing this for years. They might get 9 yeses for every 10 people they talk to. They've got the skill for sure, but you've got a different tool in your toolbox. And this is the magic of the whole thing. That pro talks to 10 people and gets 9 sales. Great for them. But you, the newcomer, you can just decide to go out and talk to 100 people. You're still only going to get 1 out of 10, but that means you get 10 sales. You actually win. You can make up in sheer numbers what you lack in skill. How empowering is that idea? Let's hit another famous one, the 80-20 rule. You've probably heard of it. In just about any group, 20% of the people are going to produce 80% of the results. Rohn's whole point was, don't fight this, just understand it's a law of nature. It happens in business, in communities, everywhere. A small handful of people always do most of the heavy lifting. But here's the trap. This is the critical part for leaders. Guess who's going to demand 80% of your time? The wrong group. The 80% of people producing only 20% of the results will constantly pull at you for your attention. A leader's job is to fight that pull and pour their time and energy where it matters most, into that top 20%. So, we've looked at the character of a leader and the unbreakable laws they operate under. The last piece of this puzzle is skill. These are the practical, hands-on abilities you have to develop to turn all those principles into real, tangible success for your team. Rohn highlighted a few absolutely essential skills. First, you've got to be able to paint a picture of the future that's so clear and exciting people can't help but want to go there. Second, you have to master delegation, not just giving people tasks, but giving them the authority to get it done. You just can't do it all yourself. Third, become a great teacher and use stories to make your lessons stick. And finally, and this is huge, you have to be the one who keeps everyone's eyes on that long-term goal, especially when the day-to-day stuff gets messy. Rohn absolutely loved this quote from his good friend Zig Ziglar, and it just perfectly sums up his entire philosophy. Leadership isn't about you, your power, or what you get. It's about service. It's about understanding deep down that your success is completely tied to helping other people get their success. And that brings us right back to where we started. Leadership begins with that personal challenge to be somebody. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with that question that's really at the heart of Jim Rohn's legacy. This isn't about changing the entire world by Friday. It's about one small step. So what is one thing you are going to do this week to answer that challenge?